Hello. Hi, this is Ben Chung back with another Magic the Gathering Arena Explorer format constructed deck. On August 6th, I made Mythic rank number 167. Today's August 8th, 2 days later. And I've played a little bit to keep up my ranking, so I'm still ranked 287 right now. And today, I'm going to go over my Explorer format Creativity Boros deck that I used in the climb. So basically it's Boros, so it's red-white. And the basic idea is that it uses Indomitable Creativity to pull out some bombs from the deck. And there are decks that just have Xenegos and Worldspine to kill in one turn. So my format doesn't, my deck doesn't depend purely on that. So let me just go over the kill combo though. So Xenegos, God of Revels, is indestructible as long as your devotion to red and green is less than 7. It isn't a creature. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gains haste and +X until end of turn, where X is that creature's power. And Worldspine Worm is a card that came in the new Explorer pack. It has 15/15. It costs triple green 8, trample. When it dies, you create 3/5/5 creature tokens, and when it's put into a graveyard from anywhere, you shuffle it into its owner's library. Now, when you have both Xenegos and Worldspine out, it's going to become a 30/30 hasted creature because Xenegos will give the Worldspine Worm haste and trample. So it can attack the turn it comes out. But it's also very good, actually, with Ulamog and Atraxa. So Atraxa is flying Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink. When Atraxa enters the battlefield, reveal the top 10 cards of your library. For each card type, you can put a card of that type from among the revealed cards in your hand and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So while it's not a 30/30 life gain, it's a card draw, 14 lifelink death touch, which is quite good. And Xenegos with Ulamog, Ulamog, when you cast this spell, now you're not actually casting this spell because you're pulling it out with Indomitable Creativity. It is indestructible. When Ulamog attacks, the defending player exiles the top 20 cards of their library. So within 3 attacks, basically it'll destroy any deck of your opponent for the most part, right? Except maybe a Urian deck. But again, it becomes a 20/20 haste creature when it comes out. Now there are builds, and you could run a build like this too, where you only run Xenegos and Worldspine. The reason why I run more is because it's a little bit more robust. There are cards that that can cause you to misfire or pull cards out of your, the opponent might pull something out of your library, and those sorts of things. So, but that also means that it's not necessarily guaranteed to kill immediately either, and you'll see how it works, though. It works quite well. So I have a couple of really short-range spells just to stay alive, Elspeth's Smite and March of Otherworldly Light, Fateful Absence. Scroll Hive is probably the cheapest. There is a 1-cost spell, but it's probably the most efficient, let's say, for its cost. Card that's able to create creatures, create tokens that you need to feed to Indomitable Creativity. You do lose a life every turn, but it makes a token creature. Birth of Melodius is just a fantastic card for 2. Search your library for a plains, create a wall, and gain 2 life. At the right time, early in the game, it can help keep you alive. It finds a token to feed to Indomitable Creativity. Fire Prophecy is in there because sometimes you'll draw one of the five kill cards, and you don't want it in your hand. So it's a way to put it back into your library. Restoration of Igengo. Igenjo also finds a plains. It can help you ramp, and it becomes also a 3/4 creature, so it's doing a lot. Wedding Announcement is a great token making card as well. It pumps your tokens. at the beginning of your end step, put an invitation counter on this, and if you attack with 2 or more creatures, you draw a card. Otherwise, it creates a token. And of course, Fable of the Mirror Breaker, on when it comes out, it makes a 2/2 Goblin Shaman token, and on the second part of the saga, you can discard 2 and draw 2, and then after that, on the third chapter, it creates a 2/2, a reflection of the Hiki-Jiki, which can create a copy of other target non-legendary creatures. Season Spoils is a good way to draw some cards and create a treasure token. Anger of the Gods, there's a couple of cards in here just to stay alive. Anger of the Gods to stay alive in the early game. And of course, the key card here is Indomitable Creativity. Destroy X target cards and or creatures. For each permanent destroyed this way, its controller reveals cards from the top of their library until an artifact or creature card is revealed and exiles that card. Those players put the exiled cards into the battlefield and then shuffle. There is also a transmogrify. Exile target creature, meaning one of your token creatures. That creature's controller reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a creature card, and that player puts that card into the battlefield, then shuffles the rest into their library. Elspeth's Son's Nemesis, I've had this single-handedly win me games, even without getting Indomitable Creativity off. So Elspeth's Son's Nemesis, white 2, -1 up to 2 target creatures you control, each get +2/+1 until end of turn. But she can make 2 tokens just by herself. So create 2 1/1 human soldier creature tokens, gain you life, and she escapes. Wandering Emperor. For white 2, a lot of value for her cost. Flash, as long as she's entered the battlefield this turn, you can activate her loyalty abilities anytime you could cast an instant. On her +1, she gets a +1/+1 counter on something. On a -1, she creates a 2/2 creature, and she can exile a target tap creature and gain 2 life, so she keeps you in the game. Storm's Wrath, it deals 4 to each creature and planeswalker, again, there to keep you alive. Expected Windfall is slightly better Seize the Spoils. So as additional cost to cast the spell, you discard a card you don't need, and you get to draw 2 cards and create 2 treasure tokens. And Ironcrag Feat is there to help the Indomitable Creativity ramp faster. So add 7 red mana for 3 red and a 1. So you're netting 3 mana. You can only cast 1 more spell that turn, which would be Indomitable Creativity. It can also, I've also used it to cast things like Portal and Ulamog in case the Indomitable Creativity didn't get off. And then Doomscar, again, destroy all creatures, foretell to keep you in the game. The only other kill card is Portal to Phyrexia, which is just amazing. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices 3 creatures, and then at the beginning of your upkeep, you put a target creature from a graveyard into the battlefield under your control, and it's a Phyrexian in addition to its other types. So that's the basic deck. There are also 2 lands that make tokens as well. Castle Ardenvale enters the battlefield tapped unless you control planes. And for white 2, you can create a 1/1 human creature token and Den of the Bugbear. If you control 2 or more other lands, Den of the Bugbear enters the battlefield tapped, and for 4, until end of turn, it becomes a 3/2 creature, and whenever this creature attacks, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking, and that's still a land. So lots of ways to make tokens, basically, and you sack them to Indomitable Creativity to pull out your bombs from your deck that can win the game for you. Okay, so that's the basic deck, and let's give it a spin. Okay, so we have we're going first, which is great. We have Skrelv Hive. We have all our key cards. The only card we don't want to see in our hand is Worldspine Worm, but this is a great hand, provided that we draw a little bit more land. So this is a very good opening hand. Inspiring Vantage. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you have unless you control 2 or fewer lands. So that's fine. Shambling Ghast. So that's good. Another red land, which is excellent. Now I'm making a token every turn, but losing a life every turn. So there's a 20-turn clock on our head. But hopefully we'll be able to do something before then. Now note, as early as turn 4, we can sack one of the Skrelv Hive guys immediately to Indomitable Creativity and pull something interesting. So we're just making a swarm of little 1/1s right now. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so I think I'm gonna transmogrify here. I'm gonna pay 2 life to get that going, and now the only problem is he might have something to sack his Shambling Ghast. So I think I'll attack first. I'll take out 2 of my tokens, though. Yeah, let's do it. So I want to see if I'll attack. I'll probably take out 2 of my tokens, but that guarantees at least the Transmogrify will go off. Okay. All right. So we're going to do this now. See what happens. Okay, he didn't destroy my token. Atraxa is fantastic in this case, so I'm going to draw more cards. Select 5, which is going to feed Indomitable Creativity. I pull Elspeth out. Iron Crag allows me to really ramp up the Indomitable Creativity. I can pull one of these 2 instants. Unexpected Windfall is perfect for Indomitable Creativity. I think I'll pull the Restoration of Iganjo, and for the land, I think Sundown Pass will do well. So you see here, we're drawing 5 cards. Now, I could hold on to Worldspine, or I could discard Worldspine Worm or try to get it back in the deck later. So we definitely want our land just for Indomitable Creativity. I do have to drop something, though. So I think I'm going to probably drop just Unexpected. I could drop an extra Windfall, Indomitable, because he doesn't have Counterspell here. So I'm going to do that. Oh, hopefully not a Galta. Okay. Soren has the ability to pull out Galta, a 12/12 creature, which would be very bad. So I think I'm going to ramp here, and we have enough creatures. So I think I'm going to attack with Atraxa, and he's going to block with his little vampire dude. Or not, okay. And let's pull out a Plains from our deck. Just land ramp some more. Now we did already play a land this turn, but we have a land for next turn. Atraxa just completely filled our hand, which was fantastic. Fire Prophecy might be good to be able to cycle those back in. Atraxa dies, it's fine. Now note, we only have the Portal and Xenegos, so don't want to discard. Oh wait, a 2. No. In this case, I can just play the land. All right, so and we only need to Indomitable Creativity for 2 to pull out our other 2 things from the deck. So I'm going to do that. And do I want to attack first? No, I think I'm just going to. Oh, I could do it on an Unexpected Windfall as well. Yeah. So I'm going to do that. I'm not going to do it on the Unexpected Windfall because I can hard cast Ulamog and even Worldspine Worm. So now this is going to pull the only other 2 cards is Xenegos and the Portal. So it's going to get rid of his token. It's going to make my Skrelv the Might 2/2 toxic. And let's swing on in. We don't strictly need the mites. Actually, we don't need the Indomitable Creativity anymore at all. We have, okay, sack a creature, no problem. Second enchantment, we'll sack the Restoration of Ganjo. Okay, now again, we can hard cast these other two things. And here we can just discard and pull out one of my bombs. I think I'll pull out Atraxa here. Bit of unexpected windfall, pull out. Let's see. Select up to 4, but my hand already has 6 in it. And at the end of the turn, I could discard Worldspine Worm and Ulamog and get it back on the next turn with Portal. And Storm's Wrath is good. And I'll get a land for this turn. Sundown Pass. And oh, there's the Fire Prophecy. That's really good. So I'm going to get that. And now we are going to have to cast some things, otherwise we're going to have to discard some. Oh, another one. That's fantastic. Okay, so well, next to combat here and double Atraxa and swing in. They already have 3 toxic, and that wins the game. So there you go. So you see the versatility of the deck. It has the ability to pull out a lot of bombs in lots of different ways. And you see how efficient Scroll Hive is, making a token every turn, feeds Indomitable Creativity perfectly. Portal to Phyrexia is an amazing control card. If your opponent gets some creatures out, you can sack them. You can discard cards if you get Portal. Like in this situation, I have Portal out, and there's a variety of ways I can discard cards. Having more than 7 in my hand, seize the spoils, and unexpected windfall. I have to discard in order to draw 2 cards. But in this case, I can discard either Ulamog or Worldspine and pull them right back out with Portal to Phyrexia. I put Storm's Wrath in just through experience and through gameplay. I found I needed something that board-wide wipe that was more than just 3 damage, so Storm's Wrath was perfect. And a Fire Prophecy also, you see, is another way to get cards back into my deck. I didn't even need to cast Elspeth's Nemesis, but she's fantastic also. So imagine getting +2 on Atraxa, doubling it with Xenegos, getting swinging through on 16, and she keeps you in the game too, if necessary. And again, if I didn't have the board state that I did, I have 6 mana up, 6 lands, and this is an instant, the Unexpected Windfall. So note that at the end, on their end step, I can Unexpected Windfall, create 2 tokens, have 8 tokens, 8 mana possible, and I Ironcrag for from using 4 of those, and I would have 11 mana to be able to cast hard cast Ulamog, which is also devastating. And also over 2 turns, if necessary, I could seize the spoils, Unexpected Windfall, and just hard cast Worldspine Worm. So you see the versatility of having more than just Xenegos and Worldspine, which a lot of decks run to try to kill in 1 turn, which is good. But then if you happen to draw it, like I did in this case, you're going to have to depend on some other way to get one of those 2 back into your deck. And there are ways that you can lose the card as well. And even if they counter an Indomitable Creativity, there's a lot of other ways to recover. As you see, potentially I can hard cast Portal because I create treasure tokens and ramp relatively quickly. So we'll leave this match and go on to another one. Cthulhu. Okay, we have ability to find a plane. It makes a token. It kicks off Indomitable Creativity. I have something to survive the early turn. So, and Restoration of Iganjo also ramps too. You can discard a card of a permanent of 2 or less and into my graveyard, and it comes out into the battlefield tapped. So if I have something like Skrull Hive, a land, blue spirits or control, Azo, Dimir control. See what he's got. Organizing Remorse. Uh-oh. Okay, well, there goes Indomitable. I have to draw another one. That's fine. At this point, we're just ramping anyway. Potentially, I could hardcast Atraxa, given enough time. Okay, Restoration of Aganjo finds a land, helps us ramp. That's really what's in there for, to help me ramp faster. In some decks, it's about a race. Okay, here I got a bunch of land, which is great. I'm going to discard the planes. It pulls it out. And Needle Verge Pathway. I can Indomitable for 1 next turn, which isn't great. So I might wait for more token makers. He doesn't have any threat on the board at the moment anyway, although he's likely to have some kind of counterspell or removal. Now, what's great about the Architect of Restoration it is also making tokens anytime it attacks or blocks. So Fateful Absence, keeping us alive. I don't expect this to live though, so we're gonna have to wait for one of our more reliable token makers, which is fine. Again, no threat on the board, and we have things to help us stay alive. I don't expect this to live, and that's fine. The key with having 5 kill cards is there's more versatility in the deck. It helps you survive the middle game against lots of different kinds of decks. And if you're lucky, of course, it has the ability to auto kill in 1 turn as well, pulling Xenegos and either Ulamog or Xenegos and Worldspine Worm. Scrove Hive would be decent. Windfall. Treasure tokens are much harder to get rid of than creatures. And even if if we have Scrolf Hive out, and even if he gets rid of one of our creatures, we can still sack tokens. So now Fateful Absence also creates an artifact, clue artifact for the thing that got killed. So we may want to Fateful Absence our own thing as well, just to create that token. Wandering Emperor, really good in this case, as I can flash it out. Now, he has counterspell potential, so you want to be careful when you flash out Wandering Emperor. So, like this is a great time to flash out Wandering Emperor because he tapped down. I can both Fateful Absence Ashiok and get out Wandering Emperor, make a token, and I can kill the token that Ashiok's about to make here. There's nothing, she owns a bounce, so. As to attackers, my turn, Wandering Emperor, create Samurai Creature, Fateful Absence. Now this is the perfect time to Indomitable Creativity because he's tapped down. So I'm gonna make a creature. And I could attack to kill his Nightmare because it's larger. Although I could Indomitable and potentially win the game here. So I think I'm going to do that. I still have Elspeth's Smite, and he knows I have Elspeth's Smite, so. Okay, that's a good pair, I would say. Indestructible creature. I can Temple of Triumph to see what comes up next. Anger of the Gods, not bad. Because it's a way to get rid of his token as well, in case I need to. So, Worldspine Worm will die. He'll shuffle back into my library, make 3 5/5s, but Ulamog is much harder to get rid of. And he's got 46 cards in deck, so getting even rid of half of them is very good. So the big worry against Demar Control is, of course, that Indomitable Creativity gets countered. So he fully tapped down, getting Ashiok out. So that was the perfect timing window to do something. Mill 2 cards with the Nightmare token. I lose Anger. That's not so bad. I still have Elspeth's Smite up, though, so I can get rid of the token at least if it attacks. Now, next turn, if he doesn't do anything, I want Ulamog and Worldspine, obviously that's lethal, to go through, so I'm going to Anger the Gods to clear the board, depending on what he does. Worldspine Worm by itself isn't lethal, neither is Ulamog, and I can get them +1/+1 through the Wandering Emperor, so Worldspine Worm potentially dealing 16 and Ulamog dealing 11. But he has to deal with something this turn, otherwise he's in trouble. So, and Ulamog is indestructible, so that's a lot harder to deal with. Oh, and he passes, really? Okay, so we're gonna +1/+1 here onto Ulamog. Because again, indestructible. I expect my Worldspine Worm to die. Creating 3 5/5s, it gets shuffled back into my library. And I'm gonna Anger the Gods here. He's probably counting on his 1 token from Elspeth's Might to at least block. But we're not going to let that happen now that we have Anger of the Gods in hand. He may counterspell it too, of course, but that's fine. Worldspine is going to trample through for 12. Ulamog's going to exile 20 cards from his library when it attacks. So 2 absolute brutal bomb cards that need to be dealt with immediately. Gonna Anger the Gods here. And attack. Milling out 20 cards. And let's just see what he's got. Didn't say please. Another Ashiok. Exile target creature, Planeswalker. Draw. Tyrant Scorn. So full Demir, full on Demir control. Next to first strike damage at 6, and Worldspine dealing 15 for the win. So there we have it. We can take a quick post-game analysis here. So Demir control, countering. He's counting on getting and keeping Ashiok out, which is decent. I mean, the ability to make a 2/3 Nightmare creature token, whenever it attacks, it can exile cards from an opponent's library, and on her -7, she can play cards from an opponent's exile. Control card, draw, and Tyrant Scorn is decent. Destroy a target creature 3 or less, or return a target creature to its owner's hand. In my case, one of the bombs. Ashiok, good for those graveyard recursion type decks. Murderous Rider, a lot of value with its adventure, destroy creature, and eventually pop out a 2/3 lifelinker. And Ritualist Suit to try to stay alive in the early game. But in his hand, it didn't have removal. If he had removed Worldspine Worm, the thing is it makes 3 5/5, so on death. So he's pretty hard to get rid of. He's pretty hard to deal with. and he shuffles back into my library. I can pull out it again eventually. The key, of course, against a Dimir is to know when to play Indomitable Creativity. And at that point, he had to eventually cast Ashiok, tapping down, and that was the point to play Indomitable Creativity. So, on to another match. All right, so let's try this again and see how it goes. It is useless to meet revenge with revenge. It will heal nothing, says Frodo. Okay, Frodo and Samwise Gamgee. All right, so we've got Storm's Wrath, sees the spoils. It keeps us alive in the early game. We're not mana screwed, so I think this is a decent enough hand that I can deal with it. I'll probably have to use Seize to discard Atraxa, which I could always potentially pull out later with Portal. But getting the treasure token and drawing 2 cards is decent. And he's got a white weenie deck, so Dauntless Bodyguard is a 2/1. It can sacrifice itself to give a chosen creature indestructible, but because it's the first creature out, it can't choose anything else. Skrelv Hive is perfect. Getting that out. Okay, Storm's Wrath is going to do a lot for us here. And no, we wouldn't have been able to. Oh, we could have. It's Ward 1. Okay, so I'm going to get red here, seize the spoils because it's a sorcery. I'm going to discard Atraxa to draw 2 cards, create a treasure token. He's tapped down. There's Indomitable, which is decent. I could Indomitable for 2 next turn, which I think is what I want to do. I have Skrelv's going to make a token, so those are the 2 that I sack. And I'll have the triple red, Adeline. Okay, no problem. Now, note that Fire Prophecy could have put Atraxa back. I am at 9 life, though. Okay, 8 life. All right, so Needle Verge. This gives me the 3 red and 2 with the treasure, so I can Indomitable for 2, and I have exactly 2 things out. The efficiency of Skrelv Hive saves the day. Okay, so we have Xenegos and Worldspine Worm, and again, at the beginning of combat, Xenegos is going to double Worldspine Worm's power to 30/30 trample, and he's got 20 life with a 5/4 blocker, so that, I believe, is a good game. Okay, so quick post-game. Here in this case, we had Storm's Wrath, which is good. Note, the Storm's Wrath would have blue on his board. So again, help keeps you alive. That's the key, is just staying alive against a weenie deck in the early game. I could have also Elspeth's Smite the Dauntless Bodyguard early in the game as well, instead of Skrelv's Hive, tongue twister. So note, that was a decision point. Either I think would have worked in this case. Elspeth's Smite gives me an extra turn or 2. I would take less, and he'd only have Coppercoat Vanguard. I just ramped as fast as I could. And you see turn 4, I won the game. So you see how deadly that can be. He's got a decent board state on turn 4 as well, but doesn't beat a 30/30 Worldspine Worm. So if I hadn't have drawn Indomitable Creativity, you see this deck can also stay alive just with Storm's Wrath. It wipes out the board. Fire Prophecy to wipe out the next thing he pulls out. Alchemist's Might also wipes out stuff that he has. I could have Fire Prophesied if I had drawn one of my endgame cards into my hand accidentally, like I did in the early in my opening hand with Atraxa. And you see I drew Fire Prophecy, and that lets me redraw. In this case, we have 2 Indomitable Creativities, and note we have 5 kill cards, so we still have the Portal out and Ulamog, so I could have pulled those out as well eventually. So a lot of versatility in the deck, and the ability to make a token off of, in this case, off of Seize the Spoils helps you ramp, which can be crucial as it was in this case. Now, I could have also just Indomitable for 1 if I hadn't pulled the Seize the Spoils, which wouldn't have been nearly as effective, right? So that I would have, if I didn't have the Seize the Spoils, I think I would have just Storm's Wrath to ramp up more until I can Indomitable for 2 or 3 things. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed watching the games, and I hope you have good luck with this deck. Give it a try. It served me well. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.